very rapidly. They calculate the debris left over by the fissioning, the breakup of uranium. And when they add it up, they find something missing.
She worked out that the two nuclei formed by the splitting of the uranium nucleus would be lighter than the original uranium nucleus.
There's missing mass. And then they calculate how much energy is locked in the nucleus of the atom. 200 million electron volts. That's hundreds of millions of times greater than the energy locked in a chemical reaction. And they said, what is the relationship between energy and mass? And then it dawned on them on Christmas Eve, 1938, E equals mc squared.
Whenever mass disappears, energy is created, according to Einstein's formula. Here was the source for that energy. It all fit.
Now, Einstein predicted it, but he didn't know how to unleash it. Here was Lise Meitner and Otto Frisch saying, this is how we do it.
In January 1939, Hahn and Strassmann published their barium finding in Naturwissenschaften. Meitner's name is not included. In February 1939, Meitner and Frisch published their theoretical explanation in Nature. They understand the process and name it nuclear fission. The discovery is a complete surprise and sensational news to scientists everywhere.
Now the publications are really completely separate. You have chemistry and experiment in one publication, and you have physics and theory in another publication. And this separation does not accurately reflect the way the science was done.
Meitner immediately understands the significance of the separate publications. She is excluded from the discovery. People who are not close to the science will conclude that the chemists have discovered fission, while the physicists have merely interpreted it. What she does not expect is that Hahn will distance himself from her and deny the role that she and physics played in the fission discovery. He could also be in political danger. He does not want people in Germany to know that he continued to collaborate with a Jew in exile. In February 1939, Hahn describes fission as resulting only from the experiments he and Strassmann had done in December.
In all our work, we absolutely never touched on physics. Instead, we only did chemical separations over and over again.
Hahn was very much surprised that Meitner got the explanation so quickly, and he was afraid that the physicist may steal his discovery, and he will be forgotten.
Fission is for me a heaven-sent gift.
What he means is that fission will protect him politically so that he is secure as director of the Institute and nobody will threaten his institute.
Dass nun plötzlich ein neues Arbeitsgebiet da war, ein wichtiges Arbeitsgebiet, wie die Resonanz in der ganzen Welt ja zeigte. Jetzt standen sie plötzlich wieder im Mittelpunkt.
On September 1st, 1939, Germany invades Poland. 2 days later, Britain and France declare war on Germany. Within days, the German military instigates a highly secret new research project into the military applications of nuclear fission. Otto Hahn commits his institute to fission research for the duration of the war.
The Nazi government would not have been able to fight this war without the support of their top scientists.
In England, Otto Robert Frisch and other physicists do theoretical calculations that show that an atomic bomb might not be impossible to make. It is assumed that the Germans have done the same calculations. In America, Einstein writes to President Roosevelt and warns him of the German threat. Roosevelt asks the military to begin fission research, resulting in the Manhattan Project and the building of the atomic bombs.
Some people say, how dare they? How dare they unlock the secret of the atom? The secret of the atom no man should possess because we're talking about nuclear fire. Well, realize the political situation of the 1930s. How can you not work on the Allied atomic bomb, knowing that Hitler himself viewed the atomic bomb as perhaps the foundation of the Third Reich?
Meitner is asked to join other prominent physicists to work on the atomic bomb in Los Alamos. Professionally, the offer is tempting, but she turns it down. I will have nothing to do with the bomb. She remains in Stockholm. In 1945, the war in Europe is over. Germany is in ruins. As camps throughout Europe are liberated, the unimaginable crimes of Nazi Germany are fully revealed. Lisa writes to Otto.
You all worked for Nazi Germany, and you did not even try passive resistance. And millions of innocent people were murdered, and there was no protest. You first betrayed your friends, then your men, and your children, in that you let them give their lives in a criminal war, and you betray Germany itself. Perhaps you will remember that while I was still in Germany, I often said to you, as long as only we have sleepless nights and not you, things will not get better in Germany. But you had no sleepless nights. You did not want to see. It was too uncomfortable.
We all know that Hitler was responsible for the war and the unspeakable misery all over the world. But there must be some sort of world understanding of the German people. How can one constantly reproach an entire people for their behavior during such times? One cannot do anything to counteract a terror regime.
Lisa finds Han's letter to her an indication that he simply does not understand the extent of the German atrocities.
Han is convinced that the Germans are being treated unjustly. He suppresses the past with all his might, even though he always truly hated and despised the Nazis. As for me, I am part of that suppressed past.
The Nobel Prize is so coveted largely because people want it to be coveted. From the very start, people bought into the belief that this was a way to find who is best in science. But it became a ritual by which we celebrate, allegedly, science, saying this is the best.
In 1945, the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences makes an announcement to the post-war world. The 1944 Nobel Prize in Chemistry is awarded for the discovery of nuclear fission to Otto Hahn alone.
The fission process won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for Otto Hahn, which skews history because the discovery of fission is really a physics discovery. It's a paradigm shift.
The entire uranium investigation leading up to the discovery itself was an interdisciplinary discovery based on chemistry and nuclear physics.
Nuclear fire involves energies of hundreds of millions of electron volts, millions of times more powerful than the energy unleashed by chemical reactions.
With inadequate insight, with inadequate information available, they just decreed Meitner had nothing to do whatsoever with the discovery of nuclear fission. Finished.
And there was a tendency in the post-war era to write out Lisa Meitner. She was a woman. She was a Jew. She was in exile.
Hahn himself never includes Meitner in the discovery, even after the war, when it would have been safe for him to do so.
For 6 years, Otto Hahn had been insisting that the discovery belonged to chemistry and not to physics. In other words, it belonged to him and Strassmann and not to Lisa Meitner. And it's very difficult to change a story like this 6 years later and say, oh, excuse me, I wasn't telling it the way it was.